Hey there, Jamie. Guess what? It's Tuesday, so as you've probably already realized by now, Sarah and I are something of fans of the Legend of Zelda series. We play the games, we talk about the games, we theorize about the games, we even debunked a myth that Netflix was going to be doing a Legend of Zelda Netflix original series, which is an accomplishment I'm still rather quite proud of.
It's been nothing but beneficial
Click
for
the
them.
thingy there if you want to watch it. You should watch it. And while I'm certainly going to talk about more Legend of Zelda today, I'm not talking about the new Breath of the Wild game, because I have not watched any of the trailers. I don't like involving myself in things that I still have to wait for, because I'll just get excited about it, and I'm not very good with dealing with that sort of excitement. It just kind of like, so excited. However, what I will be discussing today specifically is the best made Zelda dungeon. Now, this is going to blow your mind, because this Zelda dungeon is not chosen for the usual list of reasons. The puzzles aren't terribly clever, the enemies aren't really that interesting or unique sort of thing, and the item you get in the dungeon is honestly only useful in that dungeon. Outside of the dungeon, not really useful for anything.
Why did I leave my one weakness laying around my house? Oh no! Ow!
Hashtag Zelda problems. Instead, the reasons I chose this dungeon specifically are for reasons of the more subtle details, the potential story behind the dungeon, the mysteries, the music is solid, and frankly doesn't really need much more explanation into that. This dungeon is very uniquely built in its overall, I want to say, utility of the dungeon, and it's something of a framework I really think all Zelda dungeons would really benefit from. The Zelda dungeon in question is from Sarah's favorite Legend of Zelda game, and one of my top picks. That would be Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So, without further ado, Snow Peak Ruins. Bum, bum, bum. Kind of a shocker, I know, but let me break it down for you why this is the best built Zelda dungeon. Snow Peak Ruins is an ancient and dilapidated mansion, forgotten by time and by the world bustling beneath, home to the hollow ghosts and whispers of what it once was. A bastion, a manor, and a home, until the Shard of Twilight mirror is brought into it by the squatter Yetis, and only then to become populated by evil forces and blah 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 blah. You'll know the rest if you've played the game. Every room in this dungeon has a specific purpose in mind when the dungeon was built, and these purposes are very easy to figure out even just by walking into the room and taking a look around. You've got the parlor, you've got the common area, you've got housing for guests, you have a library, and not to mention one of several armories. And this is what really sets this dungeon apart from other dungeons in the Zelda universe, and frankly from a lot of dungeons in video games in general. Most Zelda games, dungeons or temples are just a hodgepodge of pointless, redundant rooms that serve no other purpose than to be, hey, it's another room in a dungeon, lol. Jump over this hurdle, get to the other side of the room, open the door, yay. Frankly, half these rooms don't make a lick of logical sense, and they really only serve for the purpose of being a dungeon. And that's it, because dungeons. What's the point of this room? And this one? Why does this giant fish even have rooms in them? Like, seriously. And what the fuck is going on here? I don't even know. It's weird. City, world of bird thing. I'm done. Snow Peak Ruins, though, every room feels like it was built with a specific purpose in mind. It was designed with clear intention so that if you were able to put the dungeon back together again, rebuild the ceilings that have caved in, and repopulate with people, it would actually be a usable building for something other than dungeon. It's built with story in mind, not just gameplay, and that's really important here. It's the design like this that makes this the best dungeon in the Zelda game, and honestly, the fact that it's so unusual in Zelda games bothers me a lot. How much cooler would a lot of the other temples and things you go through be if it actually had a clear purpose and reason behind it? And while there is a fair bit of mystery behind Snowhead, you can get a feel for what was going on. Other dungeons? Not so much. It's just kind of there. What would happen if you were to take another dungeon or another temple and start putting a bit more of a story behind it? For example, let's take another dungeon that I'm very fond of from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the Forest Temple. Now, this dungeon has elements of castles and strongholds in it, as well as various thematic elements of hauntings. You've got haunted paintings, you've got ghosts, you've got the whole place seems devoid of life, but with this mystery hanging over it. The temple would have been so much cooler if they built each room with a bit more personality and a bit more intention behind every room. And I think an intention is a good word to say there. Let's take this room for example. As of currently, it's an empty room with a little bit of detail around the ceiling, You fight 2 Stalfos in there, drops a platform, you fight 2 more Stalfos, yo, you get the bow afterwards. Jokes. Otherwise, the room is redundant, empty, and it's in a really good place to actually be a fairly important room. It's not. Keeping in mind the location of this room, the difficulty to get to it, and just kind of the nature that it's the mini-boss battle, you could have put some really cool elements in here to really help sell the idea of what happened to this temple. Why is it overrun with the undead and cursed? And why don't you put like a holy or an unholy altar in there? Put some like mysterious etchings into the walls or the floors. Have a bit more of a haze, and you've already got skeletons fighting you in the room. That's pretty spoopy. Just got to take it a few steps further to really play up the cursed aspect that the rest of the temple has. I mean, you shoot an eye on the wall and it twists a hallway. That's cursed. Not to mention this room, which I didn't bother getting any real video footage of because the room was frickin' boring. You push a couple blocks around so you can get the ladder so you can go up 3 floors, or like 3 different levels sort of thing. Otherwise, the room serves no purpose. It has illogical openings in the walls, it has no real purpose, and if you actually try to spend a few minutes trying to get around that IRL, it'd be inconvenient to say the least. It's a dumb room, and it serves an excellent example of a room with utility purpose in mind and really not a good one. The puzzle involved in is really not that hard. Push a block, push it here, pull it there, yo, you did it. Cool. And what about this room? You have spinning platforms circling a high pedestal with a torch on it and what is assumably a pool of blood at the bottom. I don't really know if it's a pool of blood or not. Maybe it's red acid. I don't know. It damages you when you walk in it. Is that cursed blood? Is that acid? Are there little pointy things in the water? I don't know, man. The room doesn't really tell you what's going on in the room. It's just there so you can get a key. Because you shoot an eyeball in the wall that's encased in ice. And where did the ice even come from anyway? That's weird. Of course, I understand this is a video game, and the complications and the restrictions of the medium and the time it was made in. Not every room is going to have little nuances and details, but rooms that don't have anything in them other than just like little tricks and traps because dungeon rooms is antithetical to what makes an interesting dungeon experience. Snow Peak Ruins nailed it. Every room you walk into feels like it was intended for a specific purpose. Everything feels like there's this fascinating, neat little mystery for you to solve when you walk in. What was this place? What happened here? Who's gonna solve it? Yeto? Hell no. He's a big ape who basically snowboards all day and cooks fish. That's his lot in life. Cooks fish and snowboards. I have a couple ideas of what the origin of Snow Peak Ruins is, but don't really have a lot of time in this video to discuss it in greater detail. If you want to hear the theory behind it, be sure to let me know in comments below. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to leave a big old thumbs up. If you didn't like it, a big old thumbs down works too. Be sure to check it on Tuesdays when I upload, Fridays when Sarah uploads, and gaming on Sundays. Until the next video, TTFN, ta-ta for now.